This is Nice Work. I'm Alex Chambers. About 3 weeks ago, our co-host Kayte Young brought poet and writer Ross Gay into the studio for an interview. That was Kayte's last interview. I'm very sad to say that our dear friend and colleague died this past Sunday, May 31st. It feels appropriate that her last interview was with Ross. They had a long friendship. Their interests overlapped with so much of this community, from writing to gardening, beekeeping, foraging wild foods, and more. We're going to devote this whole episode of Nice Work to their conversation. They talked about mulberries and digressions, the short plays Ross is writing with his dog, and his upcoming book. That's coming up after this. This is Nice Work. I'm Alex Chambers. We're devoting this episode to our colleague and friend Kayte Young's final interview, a conversation with poet and writer Ross Gay. Ross Gay's books include Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude, The Book of Delights, and Inciting Joy. Kayte talked with Ross about his book-length poem Beholding a few years ago. We'll put a link to that conversation on our website. Ross Gay lives here in Bloomington, and over the years he and Kayte connected through gardening and food, through writing and creating, and through friendship. And we're about to get started, but I just have one quick radio note. When we record an interview, we usually start by testing our microphone levels with a little bit of conversation. We usually cut that in the edit, but we're going to keep most of that here. All right, here's Kayte Young's conversation with Ross Gay.
Okay, just talk into a little bit like stuff.
Check, check. I wonder what is going to be for dinner.
Well, hey. What about when you get really excited?
Yeah, that's right. It's so good.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Speaking of which, the service berries, huh?
Oh, my gosh.
Have you picked yet?
Yeah. What about the mulberries?
Oh, yeah. So is that tree on? Is it?
I saw them starting on Thursday.
Okay. I was blown away, the mulberries. I saw one big tree that was like already dropping a lot of fruit.
You should see that part where you were laughing. It's like, okay. Ross, welcome to Nice Work.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to talk with you. Can we start with what's going on in the garden?
Yeah.
Like, we're recording this in mid-May.
Yep.
So what's happening in your yard?
Let's see. There's the potatoes, which I think I planted in early March, maybe late. Nah, probably early March. They're coming up. They're big. We have a row in the alley, like a long potato bed that's kind of in the alley. And then we have a couple other potato beds. So they're doing really good. The garlic, which I planted late, 2 months late. I planted in January. That's 2 months late for me. That's 3 months late for some people.
I can't believe you're saying that because I did the same thing.
Oh, you did?
This year, yeah.
Oh, cool. And it's coming up just great. Yeah, totally fine. Lettuce is doing good. I'm never lucky with onions, but onions are planted. Squash has just started to sprout. So, yeah, it's like that time. Like we had, I think, our first legit hot day yesterday. And boop, all this new stuff ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my tomatoes planted yesterday.
Oh, you did? Yes, yep. Yes. What's the rule?
On Mother's Day, you look at the 10-day forecast. If the overnight lows are reliably in the 50s, you're safe to plant your tomatoes.
I love it.
That's according to Michael Simmons, who's a local legend.
Yes, it's true.
What about also, like, are there any berries coming on right now?
Oh, yeah. We grow a bush called gumi, which is, I know it's not your favorite thing, but I was just thinking as I was picking it today, I was like, oh, maybe Kayte has to get it when it's all the way ripe because it gets pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But anyway, those are coming on. And then, it looks like black raspberries pretty soon.
Yeah.
Our raspberry bushes are coming along. They're not ripe, but they're coming. Strawberries are shaping up.
And this is a good year for service berries.
Oh, man, the service berries.
All over town.
They're all over town. Last year, they got that fungus or something.
Rust or something.
Yeah. And this year, they look great.
Yeah.
And the mulberries starting to come on, which is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good year for mulberries,
Me too.
The tree that I passed coming in today, I was like, oh, it did not look like this last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just lots of fruit and very juicy. And
Yes.
yeah. So, Ross, I would really love to hear about what you're working on right now.
Oh, yeah.
What projects do you have in the works? What's going on?
Well, the thing I'm kind of working on right now, and I have a hopeful deadline, an actual deadline that I'll hopefully turn it in by, is a book called Why I Garden. And that's what it's about. And I was just laughing because I just had like a little conversation with editors about, maybe that's not the best title, but I know it's the best title. So in the background, there's always these conversations. And it's all these essays ranging from like, kind of the pleasures of planting potatoes. All of the titles of the essays begin with the word to. So to dig potatoes is one of the reasons.
Okay.
Or to cavort with the honeybee. Or to bring back the dead, etc. I don't know. There's probably like 15 or so essays, some real short, some a little bit longer, that are all these, meanderings on that question.
Yeah, I was going to say anyone who really knows your work knows that when you're talking about potatoes, you're always talking about a lot more than potatoes.
Yeah. And potatoes are a lot.
And potatoes are plenty.
Potatoes
are plenty.
I know. It's, exciting in a way. I've been working on this book for years, and it just feels exciting to me to kind of try to finish it and have it out there. It's also exciting to me, too, because I have a handful of poems in there. Maybe there will be like 7 or 8 poems in the book of essays, and maybe a few drawings, too. So that feels good.
Oh, cool. Drawings.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Did you happen to bring anything from that you'd like to read for us?
I sure did. I wonder if I should read the one about mulberries, since it's mulberry season.
Yes, and we were just discussing.
Yeah. Let me find that. This is called To Eat Off the Ground. And just like that, boom, the mulberries are on, which we gather because they're off, have fallen off the tree. And where they have fallen, depending on the density of the fruit set, and therefore fall, or maybe the density and hunger of birds, or even, who knows, the density and diligence of possums and raccoons and skunks and deer and squirrels and such, blooms a kind of beautiful painting. I think of Joan Mitchell or Cy Twombly, inside of which you search not for a brushstroke or scribble, but for a plump and mostly un-ant or other smaller bug-eaten mulberry, by which to test the quality of this tree's fruit and whether or not it requires, or rather demands, further pursuit. Twice like this today, I have gauged the quality of the newly ripening mulberries, once blowing a few ants from my plunder, which, in retrospect, was not nice, though I trust they would have done the same, or eaten me. There is something sort of holy in this way about mulberries, if that's the right word, for you find the trees most often by looking down. In other words, at least sometimes, and maybe, it's the down-looking, the sullen, the glum, the bum, the broke-heart ruminating cud-chewers, the crestfallen, the ill-begotten, the downtrodden and downtreading, the meek, if theirs is a penetrable bummery and meekness, who inherit the sweet. Things are looking down until, looking down, you notice that purpled Mitchell or Twombly painting that you're standing in, sort of like in Akira Kurosawa's movie Dreams, though that was Van Gogh, and the sunflower paintings. So if mulberries were yellow, at which point, even if just glimmeringly, things start looking up, including you. First of all, it must be said, though there are fully 10 million gestures or movements in the catalog of sweet gestures or movements by which we in our softest times might utterly adore one another, be obliterated by our adoration for one another, think running across the street with no traffic anywhere. Think startled into a smile by a small furry animal. Think trying to pull open a door that you push to open. Think blowing a bubble gum or soapy wand, etc. There are few gestures more adore-inspiring than a human eating fruit, picking and eating fruit, especially small and delicate fruit from a tree. A bush is good too, but it's the reaching up that really smithereens the heart, the reaching up and looking and blinking. How precious our thumbs, our eyes, our eyelids, Did you remember to thank your eyelids today? You little groundhog? You little raccoon? Tugging the branch down like that? On your tippy toes to boot? Blinking the mulberries into sight with your cute little eyelids? You heartbreaker, you. Second of all, let's remember how we came to be here all cute and beautiful and holy in the first place. You recall, it was by picking up an unsmushed and unbuggy fruit. For me today, first from a wood plank pedestrian bridge, and second from an asphalt walkway, the latter of which was the real ringer that led me to the tree I dallied with a good 5 minutes while Gussie the dog, with whom I was walking, made his impatient face, which is very much like his sad face. Ah, come on, man, what's the wait? Anyway, today was the first time I remember it occurring to me sort of emphatically, enough that the occurrence also said, yo, write this down in one of your little notebooks. That this very simple and genuine pleasure was occasioned by eating something off the ground. And it also occurred to me that I did not, nor do I ever think of such eating off the ground as gross or grody. I just pick up the mulberry and persimmons or pawpaws and pears and plums and eat. With reasonable precaution. Sure, fine, I guess. I do not eat freshly fallen fruit that's fallen, say, into street puddles. Or any puddles, really. I steer clear of cow or horse or dog or most all patties, though I've been known to pick persimmons in the midst of deer pellets, and any variety of non-bug carcass nearby, and I'll pass. Otherwise, it's no big whoop. A stance or proclivity or insensitivity or sensitivity or approach or way that I can attribute first of all to the very lucky fact that my folks were not clean freaks or germaphobes, and in so not being, encouraged my brother and me likewise to not be. I have not spent enough time explicitly thanking my folks for this. So let me take this opportunity. Mom and Dad, thank you. Let me count the ways. But today, it occurred to me to attribute the fact that I am not just comfortable, I am happy eating off the ground because of the also very lucky fact that I garden. The truly inconceivably lucky fact that I am a gardener. And in so doing and being, I am always eating food off the ground because that's where food comes from. And if it doesn't, we should probably consider leaving it in the mucky puddle where we found it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's great. Yeah, I was smiling a lot at various images there.
Do you spot mulberry trees by looking up, or do you spot, or both?
I think I usually first notice them by what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see the little dark bumps,
Yes.
or you'll see, like you said, the kind of painting on the sidewalk.
Yes. There was a time I remember I was in Cincinnati trying to finish a poem, Beholding, which we talked about too. It was in late May, early June. I remember it so plainly. Actually, it was a little later than now. It was like June 13th because it was around my dad's birthday, which is June 13th. And I was like, oh, the mulberries come on my dad's birthday, which is sweet. And then I also realized that the way that they alert you, like you see mulberries on the ground, this is a stretch. When you see mulberries on the ground and they kind of point you to the tree or the nearby, you look up. Mm-hmm. It also made me think that sometimes when I would see like someone dribbling a basketball in a particular way with a certain kind of urgency, that you can kind of hang around and follow them to a court. That's an essay in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a couple things. One is that that kind of looking down, you know, and the glum or eyes turned down. I mean, that's just something that I always did as a kid.
Yeah.
I was always looking down. And it wasn't so much that I was glum.
Yeah.
I was looking for treasure.
Oh, yeah.
And berries would certainly be a treasure.
Yeah.
But I mean, things are looking down till you find that quarter that somebody
totally.
dropped.
Then it's look it up. Yeah. Totally.
Or just some little whatever
shiny
piece of jewelry or something somebody dropped.
Absolutely.
And also, I was remembering that when my son was very young, like 2, we would take a blue tarp and spread it under this mulberry tree in our neighborhood, like that was just littering the street with mulberries, but so many. But they were a little too high to reach, so you couldn't even pick if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so we just would lay out the tarp and then get something to help you reach it, or I don't remember, maybe just reach the one branch that you could reach and just shake it like crazy and just get get all these berries and then just haul it home.
And what would you do with them? Would you make anything with them?
We did make a jam. I think that one year that we did that, we made a jam. It was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think you had to kind of pluck the little stems off of it.
Yeah. I love mulberries so much, yeah.
But then, and I remember our friend Stephanie being so impressed with that and just being like, I can't believe you made jam out of mulberries. That's so great.
Oh, buddy, yeah.
Because she was just like, most people just see it as like a trash fruit.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
It's not a trash fruit.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Yeah.
And love having, like, my favorite mulberry trees.
Yeah.
Mulberry's a special tree. And how they grow kind of in these weird shapes, too, over water. I mean, probably many trees do, but mulberries are... Yeah, they're special.
And it feels like every tree has a different tasting fruit.
Yes, that's the other thing. And that's another beautiful thing about them. I feel like that's, like they're just so variable. And that's a treat, you know. That could be, I could understand that not being like a kind of monocultural culture's favorite thing, but it's the best thing.
Well, also nobody's doing anything with these mulberries.
Yeah.
In the capitalist system, food system. So.
Yeah, that's right, totally.
Yeah, they're just kind of outside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Are there other things you wanted to talk about with the garden?
It's funny, because there is a little part of me that wants to write a book about mulberries.
Oh, gosh, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, what am I? I'm working on a book about dunking a basketball.
Okay.
About both the experience of dunking, of relearning is kind of the wrong word, like getting back to or something, though remembering is part of it. I was a serious dunker in my 20s and probably early 30s. And the premise of this book is like remembering kind of the way it starts is remembering the first time I ever dunked and then remembering the last time I ever dunked.
Oh, wow.
And then starting to think about that and like getting back to dunking. Let's see. We'll try.
So that's something you have started.
Oh, it's deep. It's already like 60 or 70,000 words in. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's so fun. It's just so interesting. I mean, it's a book about aging, really. But it's about aging. It's about, like most everything I write, it's a little bit about my dad, you know, because he was the first person I ever saw live dunk. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so it's a lot about like sort of Dr. J and Charles Barkley. And it's going to be a neat book. It's early enough that I don't quite know what it's going to be, but the essays themselves are really interesting to me and fun to write. And then I'm working on this thing called, I don't know if it's called Dog and Person Walking or Walks with Gussie, but they're little short plays about, I guess you would say, me and our dog Gussie, or a person and his dog.
Okay, I feel like we need an example of that because it's kind of hard to imagine. That doesn't sound quite like your kind of thing. So I'm curious.
I know it's a little different. Let's see. They're adult. They're adult. You know, so I talk like someone who has a.
It's not a kid's book.
It's not a kid's book. It's really not a kid's book. Dog and person walking. Man and woman with kid approaches. Man and woman. Oh my God, how cute. Isn't he cute? To toddler. Toddler. Doggy. Doggy. Man and woman. Good job. Yes, doggy. Want to pet the doggy? Toddler. Doggy. Doggy. Man and woman. Does your dog like being petted? Is he friendly? Person. He's very friendly, but he doesn't always like being pet. Dog looks up at person. And he hates being spoken of in the third person. Dog. Thank you. Man and woman. Want to be pet? Dog. Nah, I'm good. That's what he's very charming, but sometimes he's also like kind of curt. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a book that I'm or something that I'm working on.
Do you have another one?
Yeah, let me do it. Oh, here's a good one for this time of year. Dog and person walking. Person stops to smell apple blossoms. Dog. What'd you smell? Person. Apple blossoms. Beautiful. Dog. Oh, cool. What'd it smell like? Person. Kind of floral. Dog. Floral? Person. Maybe a little sweet? Dog. Anything else? Person. That's about it, I think. Dog. Wow. Person. Wow good or wow bad? Dog. Wow sad. Wow so sad. There's like themes, you know, I talk about. I mean, the dog periodically tells me how much he smells. And
Yeah.
That's Ross Gay in conversation with Kayte Young. More of their conversation after the break. Welcome back to Nice Work. I'm Alex Chambers, and we're listening to an interview our friend and colleague Kayte Young conducted with Ross Gay in the middle of May.
So I didn't mean to cut you short on talking about the garden book.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wondered if there was more about that you wanted to share.
I'm always writing about my garden anyway, our garden.
Yeah.
So in a way, it feels like maybe a little bit of a continuation of something that I'm always doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have, these books called the Book of Delights that, as it turns out, I write every 5 years, and it's coming up August 1st. I'll start writing them again.
Oh, wow.
Those books are kind of full of the garden. It's not like all garden stuff at all, but all of those books have several essays about the garden. So in a way, the gardening book feels like something I've been, like I said, working on for a long time, but also an extension of stuff that's just always underway.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the basketball book feels pretty discreet. It feels like going hard on basketball. And the Walks with Gussie book, or Man and Person Dog Walking, it's like its own thing,
Yeah, and it's such a different form.
It's such a different form.
It's a totally different form, and it's really, I don't know, somehow refreshing and just sort of like it just puts you in a different state.
Yes. And part of the pleasure with that, too, is that I don't know what I'm doing at all. I'm just writing these little plays.
And when you start writing it, do you know where it's going to end up? Or do you sometimes start out not knowing? Like you just start with a little back and forth and then you get somewhere?
Yeah, usually we write them. I think of us as writing them together.
That's great.
And usually
it's convenient that you live together.
I know, it's so easy. It's a
collaborative.
And I will sometimes something will happen during the walk, and then we'll start to think about it. Is it funny? Is it interesting? Is it whatever? So that's how it goes. And the thing that I've learned is that I often will write a little bit too far, and I'll make it become a little bit boring, I would say to myself. Uh-huh. So part of my revision process on this, I'm learning, is that you need to go a little bit further, I'm making the gesture right now of up, cut stuff off so that there's a kind of suspension, so that it feels a little bit like. There's something very interesting about a conversation between a person and dog where periodically it's kind of stark. It just gets cut off weird. Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to and this is why, this explains it.
Let me give you more. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels, they feel sparse.
Yes.
And that, you've got to cut before you're totally there.
Yes. That's kind of the trick.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're kind of like poems in that way. Sometimes thinking about poems, it's nice to cut them shorter, but sometimes it's nice to make them very long too.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I think about comics and stuff, it's just you really have to get down to the most essential words.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't have too many.
Yeah.
So one of the other projects I know you have started recently is Digressions, which is a Substack.
That's right. Yeah. So that's just a place where we had for a full year, my friends Patrick Rosal, Janan Alexandra, and Essence London, and Vaughn Fielder, we all had this, we called it Mondays Are Free. And it's still there. It's available on Substack. It was a writing exercise every day, Monday through Friday, every day for a year.
Yeah, so prompts.
Prompts, little prompts.
Ideas.
Yeah. And every Monday was free. So if you didn't want to subscribe, you could get 52 prompts, which is kind of more than enough.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth.
And it wasn't just you writing them.
Yeah. It was mostly me and Pat, but periodically Janan and Essence would also write them. And Janan and Essence were the curators, basically. So they organized it and just beautifully kind of contextualized the exercises and gave links to other examples of stuff that they were trying to do. But after that was done, I turned that Substack into what's now called Digressions, and it's just things that I'm working on. Basically, once a week, I'll post something, and so far it's mostly been short essays, but there's been a poem, at least one poem in there. And it's just a place to kind of share what's underway. It's not all going to be entirely finished stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with it.
And how is that feeling to you? Is it feeling like a, I don't know, informal or direct communication with folks who might be interested in your work? Or
It does feel informal. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that word. It feels a little bit like check out what I'm working on.
That's great. And that's fairly new.
It's pretty new. Yeah, I think probably maybe 2 months. Yeah, February.
Okay.
Probably started right around March, actually, sometime. 3 months maybe.
Is there anything else you would like to read for us?
I could read, actually, something that was up on that Substack.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's funny. So the gardening book, this is kind of neat to know, maybe, that it's close to being, quote unquote, turned in, but I really don't know what it is yet.
Huh.
I'm still trying to figure out how the notes situations are going to work, footnotes, endnotes.
Uh-huh.
I'm still trying to figure out what the order is going to be. I'm turning it in allegedly in a month. So it feels interesting. Anyway, this is one poem or it's maybe called, it feels like a poem to me, but on the page it looks like prose. It fills the whole page up. It's an extension of something that happens in a longer essay in the book. And I'm trying to figure out if this belongs as a kind of endnote in the book. So it's like a riff or an extension. And would it be something like a remix, Because it already happens, the very first part of it kind of already happens in an essay. But this is just like a longer version of it.
Huh.
Which I love.
But you're not sure yet exactly how or where it's going to be placed.
Yeah, right now I'm thinking of an endnote section, because I write long footnotes for people who haven't read my work. Sometimes I write very long footnotes, 3, 4, 5 pages, 3 or 4 pages for sure. And I'm curious about having long endnotes and endnotes that end up forming a kind of essay in itself, like a strange, maybe kind of digressive essay in its own way.
Do you mean that individual one, or do you mean when you get to the end of the book, there's the endnotes and it's a whole nother
It becomes
work?
It's another work, exactly.
Huh.
One riff, and I wonder if there's a book by a writer named Brian Blanchfield that I love called Proxies. And the premise of that, he gives himself a couple kind of constraints, I guess, or something. And one of the things is that he wasn't going to look anything up as he was writing these essays. And they're real sort of, I would say they're like information-rich essays. They're kind of brainy, They're not just about the person, stuff that he would know. They're kind of about a lot of stuff, literary and otherwise. So he just doesn't look anything up. And he has an essay at the end called Corrections.
Huh.
And everything that he got wrong, he corrects. I don't even know how to explain it except that it's so beautiful to me.
Really?
I love it so much. I mean, I love this dude's essays so much. But I love that gesture of the first thing is going to be how I would have told it. The way we always are making errors in our, quote unquote errors, factual errors in our conversation. And then the second essay is the place where he could be like, oh yeah, when I thought that was the manager for the Phillies back in the 1980s, it was actually this other dude. On and on and on. It's a long essay. It's beautiful.
So rather than go in and
fixing them,
and just fix it, which you could.
Yeah, which you could totally do.
In an edit.
Yes. And I loved it so much that in the first book of Delights, I remember I was doing something that in my head I think was alluding to Blanchfield's work. I was sort of not correcting things, and then later I would I can't remember exactly how I was doing it, but I was allowing these errors to stand. And my editor was kind of like, why wouldn't you just Google that? But she was basically like, you're not
seeing the beauty of
she was like, you're not doing his book. His is different. I think it was a good call.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so in partly that beautiful kind of end notey essay is very influential. And that might be part of why I'm imagining in the end matter or back matter, whatever you call it, there being something like an essay that could be kind of long and carry a lot of stuff that I couldn't quite fit into or that fits differently, such that I could make another essay at the end of the book. We'll see. Anyway, this is a poem, essay, or something, a riff, called To Properly Use One's Thumbs. For braiding hair or brushing hair, or untangling the knots in a beloved's hair, for holding a pencil or a crayon or pen with which to write love notes as poems or recipes or hand-drawn maps or handwritten letters in envelopes, which if and when they arrive we open sometimes with our thumbs, or holding a paintbrush with which to softly lay light on the knuckles, in the pupil, to softly lay the light that makes the shoe a sea, the sea a song, and to threading a needle, and sewing a button or a cuff, etc., the weaving of scarves and the crocheting of mufflers, and darning, yes. Let's just say the mending arts generally, which can too include for instance, the frayed or damaged piece of art, or a book, and will often include the mending of bodies, human and otherwise, pulling the flayed parts snug, bandaging them up. Hearts, too, holding them together, and kneading dough and shaping loaves, and maybe with a knife scoring gently an X into those loaves, and spreading gently with your knife the butter or dipping it into the oil, for with whom you eat, for by whom you're fed, for by whom you've been fed, and pinching dumplings and pinching spices and pinching a baby's cheeks or toes and pinching the suckers on a tomato or 1 or 2 leaves on a transplant of chard, and deadheading marigolds or petunias is pinching too, as is pinching a pot with which to pote, as is pinching nipples, which turns your love into a night-blooming Sirius, turns her into a song, a sea. Oh, let's just say all the erogenous instruments a thumb plays its part in playing, and holding a guitar pick, and lifting the octave of your saxophone, your wind instrument generally maybe, and bringing your flugel to your kiss, and guiding your trombone slide, and lifting the record, let's say Nina Simone's Emergency Ward. Today, let's say, It's My Sweet Lord, from the sleeve, and placing the record on the turntable, and brushing the dust from the disc, and guiding the stylus to the groove, and for indicating approval, or appreciation, or okayness, or fervor, or turn it up, or a whole host of other manual linguistical things, sign language, etc. And 2, for slipping on a baby's sock, or bonnet, or tying a bib, or snaking a kid's belt through the loops, or fiddling their button through the slot, or rolling their pants into cuffs over the little boots you use your thumbs to tie the laces of, and rubbing the dog's velvet ear. And 2, peening the sickle, and slow dancing the scythe, or whittling the spoon or ladle with which you dole the soup, or grafting the scion or bud, or holding another's hand through the park, or on the park bench, or while dancing, or hearing the story again, or releasing the bad dream, or watching the game, or as they go through a door which is sometimes death, the thumb drawing small halos, eddies, into the base of the thumb on the hand it holds, or steadying the nail, or holding the chisel, or guiding the trowel, or splinting the branch, or fixing the graft, or sprinkling seeds into the furrow in the earth you beg with a stick, or your forefinger, or sometimes the thumb on your non-sprinkling hand, or prying the clove from the bulb, using your thumb as a dibber for dropping the prayer in, or unwinding the cucumber's tendril from the sweet potato vine, or the tomato vine from the fig, or untucking the pepper from the rampant sage, or plucking the pear, or plucking the persimmon from the ground, or holding the spoon with which to eat the persimmon pudding, Nana's recipe, on an index card you plucked from the tin box, or plucking the dried bean pod grown of yet more seeds given you, for loosing from the pod the beans waiting in there, which I usually do by holding in one palm, which is my mother's palm, the pod, and running with my other hand my thumbnail, which is my father's thumbnail, along the pod's seam. For pods, too, have seams. And with that lucky thumb unsealing, or better yet, unzipping really the pod, unseaming or unseaming the pod by which the beans, which are seeds, which are dreams, which are prayers, yet more given to us, will fall, dried, into your palm. The beans from the pod by your father's thumb into your mother's palm are birthed, midwifed, the dried chaff shiny on the inside and rocking at your feet like so many tiny vessels, or like wings, gilded, and you will notice, close as you are now, How most dried beans have bitty navels, where they were affixed to the pod in which they grew. Umbilical birthmarks they do not outgrow and will bestow upon their children. And there's theirs. And there's theirs. For what could be forever as far as we're concerned, which is really what the thumb was evolved to be.
What really jumped out at me was the pinching the tomato.
Totally.
Just did that.
Did you?
The other day, and it's just like, just all the pinching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. Totally. I feel like that's one of the things this garden book does a ton of is like cherishing the body. Like, whoa, you can blink. What a miracle.
Uh-huh.
You know?
So the blinking and the
pinching.
What the thumb and the finger can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just ran a interview that I did with my friend Amanda Nicky, and she's making little tiny pots on a little tiny wheel, like
sweet.
she does miniatures, and so it's just two fingers on each side, to make these little tiny pots.
So great.
Yeah, so that really came to mind when you were talking about that. I was like, I bet that example's not in there.
I know, but I did talk about pinching pots, but I'm picturing full
Yeah, no,
pots.
but and then you did talk about pinching pots, which, totally.
Yeah.
We're listening to Ross Gay talking with our co-host Kayte Young. We'll hear the rest of their conversation after the break. This is Nice Work. I'm Alex Chambers. Let's get back to the conversation our co-host Kayte Young had with writer Ross Gay.
I wanted to get back to what you were saying about the endnotes and the footnotes.
Yeah.
And, well, first of all, I wanted to say one thing that when you were talking about the book Proxies by Brian Blanchfield.
Yeah.
And the just continuing on without correcting. It really made me think about making comics and drawing and how different it is to draw without a reference. Like I don't really know what a steamroller looks like, but I'm trying to draw a steamroller.
Yeah.
What do I know about what a steamroller looks like?
Yeah.
And isn't it more important to get that down than it is to go find out exactly what it looks like?
Yeah.
And just thinking about creating in that way of just like stay in the flow and don't get distracted by having to look everything up and get it right.
Yes. I know. It's really true. How often do you find yourself like allowing that attempt without knowing exactly what it looks like to stay on the page? Like how often will that be the right move?
It depends on what it's for and so forth. Yeah. But I know that I love other people's work.
Yeah.
That doesn't get it right.
Totally. Me too.
And so it just felt like a really strong push to, let that be more often.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also like, I think there's something, maybe the most interesting thing, that's a big thing, but like one of the things that really interests me is like how stuff changes. Just very interested in how we change. I think somewhere I wrote the fact that we die and the fact that we change. That's fascinating. It's so moving, and to witness ways that we change in our drawings or in our writing, and some of those ways that we change is like, oh, I used to think it was like this, but actually it's like this. Or
do you mean like a correction, or do you mean like I used to think this was the way to do stuff?
Or even like I used to, yeah. Remember when I drew a steamroller like this? Probably if you did it 10 years later, you might have encountered a couple more steamrollers and have a different drawing of it. And it's just something so moving to me about, same with like, that move or gesture in Blanchfield's book is beautiful to me in part because it feels so like a conversation. Like you might call someone and be like, hey, I was wrong about that thing. I just wanted. But also there is something to me that's really moving about in our own work, like whether it's through revision or just like you wrote the thing and that's actually what it was in 2026. And in 2020, 2029, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
You know, how I think about it, how I feel about it, how I describe it. You know, I wouldn't have written that mulberry essay like that 10 years ago.
Right.
That's moving to me.
Yeah, your mulberry essay as a child sure would have been different.
Yeah. That's right.
The other thing that I wanted to get back to was about the endnotes and the footnotes and digressions and the whole idea of digressions, which is the name of your of your Substack, but it's really an important part of your work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit more about that and what's going on there. Like, you don't seem to ever really try to rein them in. And people have to kind of join you on the ride. And this is not just in the notes. We're talking about in the work itself. You have to, and I don't know, it requires a certain kind of, I don't want to say focus because I don't think that's the right word, obviously, because we're talking about straying. But like, I'm just talking about as a reader. I got to stay with you.
Yes.
And the sentence structure. And maybe try to hear you reading it. Maybe that'll help.
Totally. It's so interesting because it's also like, I'm sure I mentioned several times to you that I was teaching a class on like funny essays, how to write, a comic essay or writing class. And in the process of teaching that class, I realized, because, we'd all like share our work out loud. And I could tell, having taught a bunch of writing classes, that in this class, the students were the most attuned in a way to their audience. Like, they would be writing things, some of which they knew was funny or they thought was funny, and they realized, oh, okay, no one thinks this is funny. Or more often the opposite. Like, they would write something and they were like, oh, I didn't know that was funny. But it's such an explicit engagement with audience, and I feel like that, this feels like it was really interesting for me to think about as a teacher, but also as a writer, because, I'm also interested in, like, funny stuff is really interesting to me. And I feel like it's a mode of thinking. The comic is a mode of thinking that I love, and I also, I rely on. It's, it's kind of how I think. And anyway, those digressions in terms of audience, there is some balance. There is something of like, one, if you know my work and you're just kind of going to follow me, that's awesome. But two, like, I'm not always anticipating that. So there is some, I don't know if you call it a balance. There's something going on, some strategy where I'm aware that it can go a certain distance, and then you get a little bit further and you're going to lose it. The kind of physical metaphor that I think of is like those Frank Lloyd Wright, the cantilevered parts of their buildings. And that you don't want them to be, you want them to be as far, presumably, as they can be without compromising the structure of the building, which they'll do. And I think about that in those essays, like, how far away can we get from this moment, from this thing that I'm ostensibly talking about, and then pull back to it, where it feels like we've taken a trip, but we haven't lost the thread or something like that.
We can still remember where we were.
Yeah. It's really fun. I love to do it. I really love to do it. And it's also, I have a teacher named Gerald Stern, a beloved poet and teacher friend, who's digressive as a writer. And I love other writers who kind of do that. Eileen Miles is another writer I think about. There's some part of me that loves like a conversation on the page, something like very conversational on the page. And there's something about digressions being like, I got to tell you this other thing. Oh, this makes me think of blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh yeah, so what were we talking about?
Right.
That I love to do. You can't quite do it in the same way as with a person, because it's two of you together being like, oh yeah, we were talking about that mulberry tree on campus. But there is some way that, to me, it's a way of getting maybe closer, not only to the way that we think, but also how we talk to one another often, which is not a straight course.
This is your craft.
Yeah.
And I can see why it would be fun to figure out how far it can go, and then when does it need to be reined in.
Yeah. There's also just the play, too, of like always being like, that reminds me of this. That reminds me of this. That reminds me of this. And so how do you be like, sometimes that constant interruption feels like the thing. feels appropriate, like maybe a certain, like I meant, like you, on the digressions, I have a poem on there. I just published a poem on there that's about my buddy Walt, who committed suicide like 2 years ago. And as I'm writing about him, there feels like there are moments of like very quick kind of interjections or quick ways of thinking or communicating or recalling that are not just like, not perfectly linear. Mm-hmm. They're more the way that you would be recalling things as your friend who you can't verify things with. You're like, oh yeah, wait a second, remember that?
Yeah.
Did that happen? Like,
Yeah.
am I remembering that right? And then you're back to like whatever, the part about the dog or, being at the diner or whatever. So I feel like because I don't quite understand it, I feel like I could talk about it in this way for a long time. It's just very curious to me. Even as I'm writing more poems, thinking about my buddy and our friendship, it feels very much like that. Like the method or the mode is so digressive and so kind of interjective. And that feels like it has something to do with memory that I'm not yet sure, I don't yet understand, which makes me think the other digressions may also have something to do with memory in ways that I don't quite understand.
But it also seems like in that case, too, that it's very much what the friendship was like.
Yeah.
And that there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
And the sort of picking up where you left off and going back and picking up and going back and picking.
That's it. And that maybe that's a clue to the kind of intimacy in that poem called Gussie, incidentally. It is a poem that's sort of thinking about or working through people who have had like a 40-some year relationship. So there's tons of stuff that's in between them, tons of intimacy. And in a way, the essays where I'm reading or I'm thinking of an audience who I don't know, there's something different than when I'm writing to someone who I've known forever, who knows everything I know, effectively. Mm-hmm. Again, that the relationship between those two things is it's very interesting to me, and I hadn't thought about it before. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking when you were talking about how this is how we are in conversation, and I think that something that I always enjoy about talking with you is that I feel like I have permission to digress.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing it, you're getting me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't that well, where do you find those?
Right. Yeah, we really wander in our conversations.
And I think there's so much of our lives where we really got to stay on task.
I know.
And we really got to be clear in our communication and no extra words and all that,
Totally.
So it is very relaxing and freeing and just feels like, it's okay if I wander off.
Yeah. And that wandering is so like, it's just interesting.
It's fun.
It's fun. That's it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is fun and like getting to know each other. It's just like, what does this make you think of?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you end up hearing stories from people.
Yeah.
All sorts of stories.
Yeah, all kinds of stories.
That one time when...
Yes. Yeah. Something precious about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ross, for spending this time with me. It was great.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for asking all those great questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it again.
Okay.
That was Ross Gay in conversation with his friend and our co-host and friend, Kayte Young. Kayte interviewed Ross in the middle of May, and she died on May 31st. Along with being a friend and colleague, Kayte nourished our community as an artist, a gardener, a cook, a beekeeper, and a storyteller. She believed in the power of creative expression, especially public radio, to bring people together. She cared deeply for the individuals around her and oppressed people everywhere. A lived commitment to the idea that justice is worth fighting for. She was a dear friend to so many, and we already miss her terribly. Nice Work is a production of WFIU, WTIU, and Indiana Public Media. Find us at ipm.org. This episode was produced and edited by me, Alex Chambers, with help from Tyler Lake and Danny William. Our theme music was composed and performed by Alan Davis, with additional music from Universal Production Music. Our executive producer is Eric Bolstridge. Thanks for listening. And before I go, I just want to mention, the mulberries in Bloomington had just started when Kate and Ross talked. They're still going. If you see a dark painting on the sidewalk, you might want to stop and grab some fruit. All right, that's it. Take care and enjoy.
If you like smart conversations, you'll like The State of Inquiry.
It's not just ChatGPT.
Marital satisfaction, how memory changes with age, social media or to TikTok or to influencers.
Strife, discord and conflict.
Enjoyment, motivation.
Cascading effects on rural communities.
Safe drinking water.
What can we do to deter changes?
It looks pretty, but it doesn't mean it's good.
The State of Inquiry, wherever you find podcasts and at ipm.org.